Rangers fans are livid at this, as in a must-win game where the Rangers could have found themselves back in playoff contention for the first time since earlier this season, they dropped the game in absolutely heartbreaking fashion. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest, but before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 68% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel, so if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, it's free. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. But the Rangers lose a must-win game. I've been covering this game for the last couple days, saying that, after the trade deadline, after everybody's kind of settled in, you have your new acquisitions, you have to win the game against the Ottawa Senators. This is a team, and we've been talking about it, who is ahead of you in the standings, and you could have found yourself with the regulation win. You were up 3-1 in this game, 3-1 in the third period. With the regulation win, you could have found yourselves in the first wild card spot, and you have 2 games against Columbus coming up this month. You held your entire fate of your entire season in your own hands, and you blow it in the third period. And we're going to break down the exact what happened in that third period, because for the most part, I thought it was okay for the first 5 minutes, and then it just went all downhill. It was horrible. But I do want to take a minute quickly off the hop here in this video to say respect to the Ottawa Senators organization. This was a very classy gesture. I've been bringing this up all season as teams have been doing it. A bunch of other teams have done it. I was there in Toronto when they acknowledged Sam Rosen and his retirement. So that is pretty cool. Just wanted to acknowledge that. So a nice tribute from the Ottawa Senators organization for Sam Rosen. And I believe this was the first TV timeout of the first period. But let's get into the game itself. Crazy. And Chris Kreider in this game draws in for Brett Berard. Before the game, I was like, why are you even doing this? Right after the trade deadline, suddenly Chris Kreider is healthy all of a sudden. I mean, what are we doing, right? But he came in, and I have to say, Chris Kreider locked in defensively in the third period. He broke up a couple plays that could have went in the back of the net. Like, Ottawa could have won this in regulation. The Rangers coming away with a point after that performance in the last half of the third period there, unbelievable, to be honest. I mean, Ottawa could have had 5 goals, and he broke up some plays. So he did play pretty good, but I do think Brett Berard should draw back into the lineup, all things being said. Carson Soucy also scored in this game, his first as a New York Ranger. Pretty weird goal. He just came down the wall, kind of threw it on net, squeezed through Allmark, and went in. It is what it is. All goals count the same. So, it was 1-0 for the Rangers here, but they had a multi-goal lead. You cannot let things like this happen. The New York Rangers in the third period had almost no scoring chances. They stopped playing. They were defending the entire time, and it wasn't even really good defending. A lot of questionable decisions. I'm going to bring up a screenshot in a second too, because I have no idea what the defensive format is in this screenshot, but it blew my mind when I saw this, and it was off of the tying goal. And the high danger scoring chances in that period for the third period were 7-1 for Ottawa. High danger scoring chances, 7-1. You're not going to win the game if you're giving up 7 high danger scoring chances in one period, right? That's not what good teams do. You have to limit that. The shots on goal were 14-5. Half of the shots on goal in that period for the Ottawa Senators were high danger scoring chances. There's only so much we can pin on Shesterkin, right? At any given time. Although I'm going to talk about the final goal. I mean, it does have to do with 2 players, and Shesterkin is one of them. But you cannot give up that many high danger scoring chances. You're just not going to win that way. It's not going to end well for the team. And, I have to agree with Johnny Lazarus here to a degree that, after the last couple of months, it's like you watch each game and you're just dreading it. Like, you're not feeling anything anyway, right? Because they're not in the playoffs, whatever. And they were so close today. You could have found yourself in a great spot. First division or the first wild card spot. And not only that, if you look at the standings, take a look at the New Jersey Devils. They are in free fall. They no longer have a first line center. They're losing games. They're losing guys to injuries. They have 72 points. If you win this game and in regulation, you separate yourself in terms of the wild card spot. And also, you're climbing up the standings. You'd have 69 points. You'd be 3 points behind the New Jersey Devils for a divisional playoff spot, right? You'd be in a great spot if you won that game in regulation, if you just clamped down, if you locked it down and won that game in regulation. This is going to be the game you look back on in a couple months, in a month's time when the playoffs roll around. And whether you're in or not, you're going to look at this game and it's going to be the reason why you weren't in. What is this defensive formation called, right? This is scrambling. Why is everyone by the goalie, right? And not only this in the defense and stuff, if the Rangers have any shot right now of making the playoffs, Alexis Lafreniere needs to show up. It was so apparent today. This guy needs to lock in somewhere. I don't care if it's offensively in the neutral zone, defensively if he wants to start doing that randomly. This player needs to lock in somewhere on the ice because he's not doing it for you offensively at all. Ever since he signed that contract, he's been pretty brutal. He's not doing it the last couple of games, that's for sure. And defensively, there was a goal that the Senators scored in that period where, like, you're letting them gain momentum and you should be hounding them for the puck. You see it with JT Miller. He's a hound on the puck. There's other guys on the team, Will Cooley, that are hounds on the puck. Lafreniere is just kind of floating around the defensive zone. He's kind of floating around the offensive zone. There was a great play late in that period where the Rangers had pressure with a minute left in the period. Great pressure. I actually thought they were going to score. And, JT Miller was kind of moving around. Sorry, not JT Miller. It was Artemi Panarin. And he's moving around, he's cycling, he's looking for somebody to pass to, and Lafreniere is standing right in front of him. Why are you not driving the net? There is something going on with this player. He's not feeling it mentally right now. He needs to lock in. If Alexis Lafreniere does not lock in, the Rangers have no shot of making the playoffs because he's supposed to be one of their best players, and he is not playing that way. And the last thing I will mention, and I'm going to show a video of this, is the final goal. K'Andre Miller, why are you throwing this pizza across the ice? This is an absolute gift to Stützle. Absolute gift. You gave it right to him. It was a bad pass to JT Miller. Not only a bad pass, why are you floating that across the ice like that? Regroup, wait for the perfect pass, maintain possession of the puck. It's overtime, 3-on-3 overtime. These are the simple things. You need to play with poise. These are the things I'm talking about. Some guys like Will Borgen, the reason they've been so effective since coming over to the Rangers, they keep it simple. They simplify their game. They don't all overcomplicate things, right? And they find success in that way. K'Andre Miller's overcomplicating things. Alexis Lafreniere is, I don't even know what he's doing at this point. That player needs to lock in. And the Rangers, this is an absolute disaster. Miserable loss. They should have won this game in regulation. And this is the game you're going to look back on and be like, if they don't make the playoffs in a month's time, you're going to look back on this game and be like, you could have had 2 points here. You could have separated yourself from the Senators and put yourself in a better position to catch the Devils for that last divisional wildcard spot, or the last divisional playoff spot, I should say, excuse me. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. They still play 2 times this month against the Columbus Blue Jackets. There is hope here that they can still control, their own fate. We don't know what's going to happen with the Senators, right? They can continue winning games, but as long as you lock in one divisional or one wildcard playoff spot and continue to pick up points along the way, you can possibly catch the Devils. They're in free fall mode. But this was not a good performance in the third period. Everyone has to look at themselves in the mirror after this one, because you should have, especially the position you were in. I understand if you were losing the whole game. You had the lead almost the entire game, and you were up 3-1 with 10 minutes left in the third. You have to win that game in regulation. But I want to hear what you have to say in the comments about that game, where the Rangers are in the standings. It's getting a little scary. They had an opportunity to get into a playoff spot, and it did not go that way. I want to hear what you have to say in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.